Hey folks, and welcome to Greg's Golf Shack. Practicing your putting pre-round on the course practice green is a really important part of your game. Helps build confidence, and it also helps you get a feel for the greens that day. Conditions might be different, and hopefully the conditions of the practice green reflect what is happening out on the golf course. Now, it's important to understand you might need to make some slight adjustments when you get to the first green, because the practice green gets a whole lot more traffic than the greens out on the course. While people might spend 3 or 4 minutes out putting one ball out on the course, on the first green or third green, whatever it might be, somebody might be practicing for 20 minutes, a half an hour out on this course. So you get a lot of foot traffic around the hole. The greens might roll a little bit faster. The holes might not be changed as often, if at all, out on a practice green. So could be some damage or different things like that. So sometimes what you could do is not only make a little adjustment on the first green for pace and how the ball is rolling, but not necessarily always practice to the holes that are located on the practice green. Sometimes what I'll do is take some sort of a ball, maybe an orange ball or something, toss it out there and make that my target. I'll drop my 3 balls and use that orange ball as my putting target to try to dial in my putting. And then I'm not thwarted by all the traffic that was around those practice holes. Now, I do think it is important to try to get the sound and the feel of dropping some putts in the hole, but for general speed and feel of the green, maybe pick a different target that hasn't had so much abuse around it. Now, as I just mentioned, I like to bring 3 balls out. One for feel, one for pace, and then one to dial it in all together. I like to use that for chipping around the green as well. I don't want to use too many balls because I don't want to take up a big footprint on the practice green. Other people want to use it. And make sure you're not using driving range balls to get the feel of the putts. You want to use the type of ball that you're using out on the course. So many people say, well, I'm not good enough to use a certain kind of ball. Well, you're not going to improve if you don't get a feel for the ball. If every putt and every chip and every strike with your irons is going to feel different off the face of the club because you're using a different kind of ball, that's not going to give you a lot of information. So I'm not saying you have to use the most expensive balls, but when you're playing around, when you're practicing, you should use a consistent type of ball. So to get started, I usually like to focus on maybe the long putt, the lag putt, because we don't expect those to go in, so it doesn't hurt the confidence so much. And these are really, besides being around the hole, these are the only putts I like to do from the same distance to get that feel, like I said, feel for the putt, the strike, a general feel for distance, and then another putt to just try to dial both of those in together. So I'm not worried about that hole up there. I just want to get a feel for this putt, use that as a general target, and get it up to that direction there. Oh, what do you know? It's a little short. Now I've got the feel. Let me focus on that distance a little bit more. Need a little bit more pace. Ooh, almost knocked the other one in. And then put those 2 together. There we go. So that's a good practice for just general lag putts. Those are all around a 3-foot circle. I don't want to spend too long on lag putts on the practice green. I want the feel for the putts we really need to make. So now that I've got a feel for that general pace of the green, the lag putts, I want to start focusing in on the distance and pace a little bit more. I don't want to hit too many balls from the same location because repetition like that isn't really what happens on the course, and generally we don't have a whole lot of time to practice. You don't want to spend an hour on the practice green before your round. For distance, what I like to do with my 3 balls is 3 different distances. I'll go about 4 feet from the hole, about 8 feet from the hole, and then maybe about 12 feet from the hole. Now, these might be longer or shorter. I'm just sort of guessing around that space. And then we'll come up and we'll start putting them. I'll start from here, work my way back, and try and get that feel for distance. That one would have ended maybe a foot past the hole. Need a little bit more pace. Okay, I pulled it a little bit. I'm not going to worry about it. It's a tap in. And one more. And great pace. I'm getting a feel. If you find these are all over the map, try it again from those distances. Depending on how big the practice green is, you could keep doing that from more further distances to help get that feel. These were uphill putts going up there. I would try the same thing downhill. Now, depending on the slope of the green, if you have the opportunity to work with uphill, downhill putts, you'll find that there's a lot less energy put into a downhill putt. In fact, this is a fast enough pace that I bet you it's the same amount of energy for each one of these putts since it's downhill. So again, just a little bit. Try and get it close to that hole. Very subtle. Let's see if that very subtle. I hit it a little bit harder. It's going to roll away. Still makeable putt. And another feel here. Let's see. Now these distance putts, these variations are really important because we're going to have all kinds of different putts left to the holes out on the golf course. This gives us confidence. Not only could we make the putt, but we're getting that feel that if we do miss, we've just got to tap it. Now comes the direction. We want to be sinking these putts and getting them in the hole. And we also want to start to get a feel for subtle breaks that might be in the green. So I like to start further away from the hole and move closer so it gets easier and builds confidence. Now, you might start 10 feet away, 8 feet away. I like to take my 3 balls and place them around the hole. This is about 6 feet or so, 5 or 6 feet, and I've got different positions, and I might move around the hole or space them out bigger, and I'll try to get a feel. Now I got a feel for that pace, get a feel for the direction into that hole. And I'll go to each of these and try to work my way around. And missed one there. So this is why that practice is so important. I learned a little bit about the break. I might try that again. Now, once you've got a feel for those 5, 6 footers, whatever they might be, shorten the distance, bring it in. These are when the putts become really important. They're the difference between birdies and pars, or pars and bogeys, or you get what I'm saying. And we want to start working our way around the hole, adjusting to those subtle breaks, and gain confidence with these short putts that are so very important to our golf round. All the way around. Oh, I pushed one. Now that is why we practice those. Those happen to us, so make an adjustment. Put them in. Build that confidence before you get out on the golf course. Now, the last little tip, even if you're struggling with those 3 footers, even drop a couple, a foot or 2 away, and get the feel and the sound of what it is for a ball to go in the hole. Right before you leave, just tap a couple in, hear that sound, and build that confidence. The last thing you hear and see before you step up on that first tee is balls going in the hole. But get that practice in and build some confidence, shoot some good scores.